Okie dokie. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new week, a new episode of podcast where I am interviewing many awesome people. Today is Monday, so that means it's a new week. It's a new opportunity to question some decent people, some interviews, and just get to know them a little bit and actually talking about whether it's related into their minds, whether it's politics, whether it comes to music, when it comes to like hobbies, anything particular, really. I would like to say thank you very much for everybody who has stayed tuned to watch the latest videos. It means a lot. I did release a video back on Sunday, and it's really good. Keep up with the subscription; it really means a lot, and keep up with the Facebook likes; it means a lot as well. I am not going to be stopping anytime soon, as far as I know, and I still got like sessions going through until October, so I'm going to be a little bit occupied, and considering COVID is not going to be going anytime soon, I think we're going to be here for quite a while. Today, I am here with Mr. Tom Cahill. He's a guitarist from Visions of Disfigurement. I've known Tom for a few years now, but, it's really nice to actually speak to him, considering with all the circumstances that he's been occupied and I've been occupied, and it was a nice time to actually say, let's actually have a sit down and actually have a chat and see what comes up to our minds, because things have been going around for the past few days, especially when it comes to social media or when it comes to COVID-19, whether it comes to America. We'll try our best not to get into politics too much because this is about music. So let's see what happens and see how long this goes. But first of all, Tom, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, very, very well. I'm enjoying this beautiful British sunshine we've got. We don't get it often, so while it's here, you've got to enjoy it.
Yeah, we do. And considering I'm wearing shorts, you might not see it, but I am actually wearing shorts today. So it's a nice time to actually wear shorts and time to have a good beer or two. I'm drinking an IPA beer from Aldi. It's called Half Pipe. It's a seasoned pale ale and it's got some fruit hops in it. So it's quite nice, actually. So if nobody knows what it is, Half Pipe, it's actually quite cool. Just bought it today, so it's quite nice. Have you been drinking a lot of alcohol during this?
Yeah, maybe a little bit too much. I'm a fan of the craft beers as well. Obviously, IPAs, New England IPAs, are my favourite. Just less of the bitterness at the end and a bit more fruit is
exactly. Yeah,
I think we're blessed to have so many English brewers, like craft brewers that are, or UK craft brewers that are incredible. It's, good time to be stuck at home.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and take the time to actually taste the different types of IPA beers, and see which one's your favorite, which one's least favorite. Like, I know IPA beers are starting to become my favorite, but I don't try to drink them all a lot because my body's not used to it, and I'm not like a person who drinks a lot. So I like to try drinking in special occasion, and especially when it's a new week, and I just thought, it's a good time to have a good one. So as I just mentioned just earlier, we've been having a quite eventful past few days. Not just our country, but the whole world as well. It's very, very shady, but also very unfortunate circumstances when an unfortunate human being has to pass away during a very racial circumstances. And I don't want to really get into it too much because, as I mentioned, this is about music and not politics. And I know many people got their own idea of what it should be when it comes to the law of justice and when it comes to racism and when it comes to being a human being, and there's social media being posted pretty much through the hours and hours so far about this unfortunate guy has passed on during the officers, and this officer got into custody. He's got his judgment of third-degree murder. So that's far as I know. And now there's been riots going around in America where there's some stores have been pretty much been looted, and especially music stores as well, where they got nothing to do with anything. And it's really shit because I'm all up for people to protest, but I'm not up for people to riot and start looting places where the businesses are going to be really corrupting income because they got nothing to sell now, and people are starting to loot so much out of the goodness. It's shit, basically,
I think when a people are so, they put down throughout history for so long, when you try peaceful protest and it doesn't work and people don't listen, I think it's going to boil over.
Yeah.
It's happened time and time again. I think, there is a problem with America having a massive problem with racism in its police force, in its armies, and, well, just America in general. I can see why people are writing, because they're pissed off, and rightly so, I think.
Understandably, yeah. And I know we have our country having our protestings and stuff, but if I can completely be honest, I think our country and our British citizenship is a little bit of lack of backbone, which in a way, I'm not saying all British people are lazy or they don't want to fight for their freedom or anything. I think it will come to the time where when we are all frustrated, that's when it will happen. And this is what happened in America. Racism has been pretty much been in our lives through these centuries and centuries, man. We can go back to years where law of justice have been ignoring so much cases about killing colored people and, blaming them for all these circumstances, and just basically they're the ones that have been doing the bank robbery or been armed a lot and doing the drug dealing and everything, where us white Cashans and, us white British or whatever, we're bad as enough as it is, and we seem to be getting away with it easily, where the colored ones are not pretty much getting away with it at all. It's like supreme, supreme race, and it's just not right.
I think, obviously, me and you are both white British. I think being a white man, it's really hard to say that there's not racism in this country or there's not racism in America. Only people of different ethnicities and different minorities can actually tell us that, and it's up to us to listen to them. Really, you can't say any more than that.
No, absolutely. I mean, I know for a fact that I've got a lot of friends when it comes to different race and different colors and whatever. I'm pretty much all lives matter in a way. Well, but I'm also Black Lives Matter as well. So it's like, if we're getting stumbled on, we should be protesting about that. If Black lives are getting stumbled on, we should be protesting it. We're all human beings at the end of the day. We all should be supporting each other, no matter what color we are or what race we are, and whether it's religion, whether it comes to nationality as well, we all should be supporting each other. I mean, this is the time where obviously we're in a shitty situation with this whole COVID-19 anyway, and this just seems to be top of the icing on the shit cake, basically, because it's way much worse,
Yeah. Well, I was just saying to you before we started, I was like, it's like a movie script. If you'd have told me this time last year that I'd have spent the last 2 months in lockdown, that there'd be riots in America, that Trump was kicking off about Twitter, oh, that's not that much of a surprise. I'd have probably told you were bullshitting.
I mean, we already know Trump has been kicking off Twitter, like you just mentioned, and Trump has been kicking off of blaming China for all this COVID situation anyway, which, to be fair, COVID did started in China, but China seems to be getting better, which is fantastic, and it's great for a country like that to get better after the situation that happened in the first place. But I think there's more behind the scenes. I think there's more conspiracy theory where there has been stuff behind the scenes that has happened in China before this whole virus started in the first place. But that's my spectacle opinion. And I don't think I really want to get into it too deep. If I did, I'll probably get copyright for it, or maybe Trump finds it out and then I'll be like...
You'll be on our list somewhere.
Yeah, that's it. That is literally it, man. Honestly, I don't want to risk my life on it. But at the end of the day, we're all fed up. And I think, in a way, I can understand people protesting. I really do. And especially through this whole circumstances. Like I've just mentioned to you earlier, just before we came on, there's people protesting at basically DC, Washington DC, and it seems to be getting quite ugly because Trump has apparently been hidden in the bunker, and there's some fucking police around with weapons to start shooting people if that's the case. But whether that's accurate or not, I don't think I won't know until there's anything official. But if there was anything official, obviously the media is probably going to twist it, and well, it's just the same old story basically. The media gets paid for it, and it's just unfortunate, you know. There's so much that we need to know, and I think most of it's being twisted and being lied to by the media and the government themselves. Like, obviously, there's a ring power, there's a pedophile ring around, and you know, there's all stuff like that behind the scenes. It's all power hungry, and you know, we're just the pawns in the chess game, unfortunately, and it sucks, you know. But we have to deal with it, and hopefully we all get better and we get through it, you know. That's all that matters, especially through the circumstances, and we hope to see each other once again, whether we are best friends, whether just like strangers across the road or anything like that. We all want to make sure everybody's happy with one another, and just making sure, you know, their lives are all meaningful and purposeful again, you know. So that's just basically the topic out of the way. As I said, we don't want to get into it. We definitely want to get into music, as this podcast is about underground scenery support, and it's all about just making sure the music industry just gets notified and just get the recognition it deserves when it comes to underground scenery, and especially bands like you guys, Vision of Disfigurement, and down in Manchester, or as people call it, Slamchester. Yeah, I think it's great that we got bands like you guys and Chainsaw Castration, Ingested, Napalm Death, Party Cannon. I can go on with the list, but I think I'll be here for quite a while.
Yeah.
But it's great to have quite a good bands in the scenery in the UK. Where did Vision of Disfigurement come into play, and who actually created it in the first place?
So it was Ben and one of the original guitarists, Alex, I think, started off as an internet project in 2013.
Yeah.
From there, obviously, got some new members. Original guitarist left. Someone came to replace them. I've now replaced him. So I joined the band last April. So I've been with the band just over a year now.
That's cool.
We've done an EP and an album, but that's not quite out yet.
Just yet. Just yet.
Just yet. So close.
Funny enough, it's actually coming out next week, and yeah, I'm quite super stoked about it. It'll be very cool to hear what the direction of this EP album is coming out, and you know, I'll be looking forward to it. It's called Annals of Misery. It's coming out next week on Monday. You guys can still pre-order it on what's it called?
RealityFade.com.
Yeah, that's it. LatencyFade.com, records.com, and you can even pre-order on Vision of Disfigurement's Bandcamp as well if you wanted to support them digitally. I always keep mentioning to people that digital format is actually a good way to support the band's income financially when it comes to Bandcamp, because you can get more of the income compared to Spotify. Not like Spotify is a bad place to actually stream your music, but if you definitely want to support the band more meaningful, Bandcamp is definitely the way forward. Physical copies, I'm sure there will be some in Big Cartel, and some merchandise as well. So if you guys still want to do it, you still can have a good opportunity to pre-order Vision of Disfigurement's new album, Annals of Misery. That is definitely out next week on Monday, so bear that in mind, guys. So yeah, where did the direction come from with this new album? Is it just something that was related to, to your latest EP, Extorium, or was it something related to the album called Permanent Extinction back in 2016?
Well, the songs that were on Exordium were actually supposed to be for this album, but there's a couple of songs there that were written by former members or helped write by former members. So we put out the EP as just, look, this is the direction we want to go in. We want to have an album as a fresh start for all of us, all four of us, to come together and write something. I got to say, Adam, our bassist, put in a hell of a lot of work on it, and most of what you hear on it is what he's written. Me and Ben worked together on quite a few songs, Dan as well.
Great.
So it's sick. I think you can hear in the 2 singles that we put out that it's like a more matured sound compared to Abhorrent Extinction or even Exordium.
Definitely, absolutely. And they're definitely on Spotify or on YouTube if anybody wants to listen to it. So one of them is called Chains of Concussionist and the other one's called Imperative Divinity. They're both on Spotify, but are they both on Bandcamp as well?
Yeah, you can get them everywhere. Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal. If you could think of it, it's probably on it.
Anyway, you even could be on Anchor, the podcast, and then it'd probably be there as well.
It could be. I don't know. we pay DistroKid each month. Each month we pay DistroKid, and DistroKid sorts it for us. So.
Oh man, I mean, you guys are doing the easy work and compared to the rest of the people by the sounds of it.
Oh, it's a pain. It's a pain getting it all organised, especially because the formats they want stuff. You have to be so accurate when you input it, like lyrics or whatever. If it's remotely wrong or whatever, they send it back to you and go, no, it's not good enough. You need to sort it out.
Oh man, that's just interesting. So. Obviously, we mentioned about you guys just a little bit. So where did the direction come into play with hate, just doing like a hatred banter with Chains of Consideration? Because obviously this must be for quite a while now.
Yes, I think that started before I was in the band. I don't know who started it now. It's sort of,
probably
because it's gone on for so long. It's Joe. It wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't surprise me. I just think it was funny. I think like the scene beef. Obviously, we got on with them. We were on tour with them in October. They're all really good lads.
Oh yeah,
we had Omar from Daigora as the vocalist.
He's really cool dude.
Yeah, man, he's so chill. He's a really nice guy. Sick band too, Daigora. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody has not heard of it before, Daigora is definitely to be listened to. And especially when it comes to this just circumstances, Omar had actually done music for theme-wise interrelated to these Black Lives and, how the direction comes into race. So it's actually really interesting. I've listened to a couple of songs that are definitely good. I saw them live earlier, or maybe sometime early this year or maybe last year. They were really good live. I actually enjoyed listening to them. Very heavy live for sure. And I remember seeing you guys last year along with Chainsaw. This was back in Snuffest. I think it was Snuffest. Or
Death to Cancer Part 3, the final one.
Death to Cancer, yes. That was definitely...
I remember you were down the front, I believe.
I was, yeah. I was.
I do remember.
That was definitely a fun...
That one. It was a great gig. It was hot though, wasn't it?
Very hot. I think it was during this time. It was this time.
It was about, I think it was July,
Yeah. So that was
July,
definitely
and it was hot. That was awesome.
I think that was the hottest day as well. I think
it wouldn't surprise me. I think
Yes.
I think I lost a stone just through sweating.
I'll probably feel the same as well. By the end of today, all the beer drinking and the pizza eating and stuff is probably going to be gone. Jesus. So we know about the band a bit more. So we don't know about you most of the time because you're definitely the guitarist for Visions.
So
pretty much, what actually wants you to become a guitarist in the first place?
Oh, I started playing guitar pretty young, like 8 or 9, I think it was. I'll be honest, I started playing violin and
Really?
I wasn't good at it. And anyone who knows what a violin sounds like when it's played badly will know how annoying it is.
Yeah.
So my mum and dad quickly swapped me to guitar. They're like, you can try and learn this instead. Which I'm very lucky for. At the time, obviously, I've been really young. I loved Busted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Year 3000 was a cracking tune, and I
Very
thought, you know what, I want to play some of their songs. But then quickly learned about Green Day and bands like that, and I just sort of fell in love with learning music that way.
I mean, I like the bands like Green Day, and as you mentioned, they are a good influence. they were a good influence to have in music, especially if you want to be a musician. And I remember listening to Green Day by someone who I remember when someone I used to go to school with, his brother gave me a burn CD, all of like the biggest hits CD tracks.
Oh, God,
Just gave me this track of it, and I was just like, "That's illegal, but that's fine." I suppose. At least the
you were
Napster
young, you didn't
Commission is
know.
not going to get out of it, you know.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Yeah, I like Green Day, but you know, I still love having the like the death metal scenery when I was back 18, and you know, Cannibal Corpse, Death, and what else was there? It was like Obituary coming into play as well. So it's kind of like a death metal variety was coming into my life, and I kind of enjoy it. So, where do you stand when it came to trying to listen to other music?
Well, when I got into death metal, it was bands like Black Dahlia, Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, bands like that really got me into death metal. I was more into death metal before I was into like brutal death and slam. I started hearing about bands like Ingested, and then I sort of did some research and found out about it that way. But with music, I grew up like with loads of different influences. I just sort of listened to everything. My mum listened to a load of 80s music. My dad listens to a bit of punk, Motown, soul. I listen to everything. So
that's cool. I mean, I definitely I mentioned in my last episode 10, that I had an interest of listening to blues, jazz, you know, to have that little bit of variety when it comes into musicians, just some chill music, even retro music as well. And the 80s were definitely my music theme to life, because that was the pinnacle music that I actually enjoyed listening to, especially when it came into video games. You know, there was a lot of good music came into video games. Like if you play games like Tony Hawk, Pro Skater, they had a good music selection. If you play wrestling games, they had good music soundtrack as well.
True. WWE vs SmackDown 2007. That's the one.
That's the one. That is definitely the best soundtrack of the game by far. Grand Theft Auto games always had good music lists, especially Vice City. That's where it came into the 80s, you know. I do like, I think it was Grand Theft Auto 4 as well. It definitely had a bit of punk rock, and if you download the DLC of the Damned and Liberty City Lost, you can get tracks like Cannibal Corpse in there, and it's a bit hard punk in there. So that was not very nice, actually. It was a very good variety of music you can listen to, especially some techno Russian music as well. So that was quite cool. Yeah, so I liked it. It was very good music for interest for sure. But if you was not a guitarist, what would you actually be doing right this time? Because, you know, if it wasn't for music, I'm sure many people would be not sure what to do, you know?
Yeah, it's a tough one because I've always revolved everything I've done around music. So, you know, if I'm not playing gigs, I'm going to gigs. If, you know, there was times where I couldn't, in the past, where I haven't had the chance to play guitar. So I've been a vocalist in a band, for example. So I've always found a way to get into bands. I've played a band as a bassist. The only thing I can't really do is drums. I've never really tried either.
You can always do air drumming. That's always works.
Yeah, as long as I make it look cool, that's like the main thing.
That's always the best thing. I mean, look at Ben. He makes it look cool on the drums, so I'm sure you can do just fine. Definitely. Yeah. But as you mentioned, you go to shows in Manchester, and I'm sure there's other places in north like Liverpool or wherever the case may be, up in the north area. What's the scenery like up north? Because I know down here in London area, it's a really good scenery. But when it comes to underground scenery, it's kind of like a hit or miss. I suppose it depends on the lineup that people would be like, oh yeah, that's a really good lineup, I'll go to that show. Or, oh yeah, it's worth £10, I'll go to that show. If it was like £20, I'd be like, nah, fuck that, I'm not going to that show. No way. So I don't know what it's like in down Manchester area.
Well, I actually live just outside of Birmingham, but I do go up to northwest Liverpool and Manchester for gigs. Up there in the northwest, especially Manchester, you've got a really good scene for extreme metal.
Yeah.
Whether it's like death metal, slam, grindcore, anything like that. People will come out to shows, and it's always really cool. We played a really good show in Liverpool as well. So the Northwest seems to have it set for them. Whenever we play London as well, it's always a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not so great in the Midlands, in Birmingham. There's not a great pull for like slam or death metal shows. There's not like many on. Hardcore shows, there's loads.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Back from the Concrete Fest days or whatever it used to be called. But yeah, it's not great for death metal here.
No, I agree with you. It's up north is, from what I got told by Sam from Ingested, the scenery is actually really good in up north, especially northwest, where it comes to Liverpool or Manchester, and maybe Scotland's actually got good scenery. Maybe it's a little bit of hit or miss. It depends. After I have my interview session with Chris and Ryan Christopher Ryan and Mike McLovin on Thursday with Pie Cannon, they can probably give me their speculation what scenery in Scotland's like. But yeah, I think down London area has always been a good scenery, but it's questionable as well. Thinking it could be much better. And I'm sure it could be much better down in the Midlands as well. As you mentioned, there's not much down there either. But I do wonder why there isn't much going around in the Midlands scenery. Maybe because there was a lot and then there wasn't much fan base going around. And perhaps it was just like they were not interested whatsoever. Especially when it comes to big towns as well. Like, as you mentioned, you live near Birmingham, so it's a good transport to go all the way to Manchester or Liverpool is by train. And that's just like, it's easy for you guys to actually get up there, you know?
Yeah, well, for in Birmingham, for like extreme metal shows, if it's a band the size like Napalm Death, you know, they'll get a massive crowd. Or like, we've had a Bittree here recently, Napalm Death, Carcass, they all get massive pull, but it's just like the underground scenes, like, can be really hit and miss. I mean, I saw Cranium in Birmingham with Female Nosebreaker.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a massive crowd there. It could have been bigger.
Yeah, it could have been bigger, but then it just questions me sometimes, why is it not that big, you know? And I suppose in this podcast as well, as I had my interview sessions in the past, that we try to tackle down a little bit of the idea of what it is. Part of me thinks it's just because there's not much of good bands coming to the shows. If that's the case, it's just questioning why is there not a bigger fan base actually supporting the bands to go to these shows, you know?
Yeah, I think we play, obviously, the music that extreme metal so niche that you've already automatically got a smaller fan base than everyone else. I mean, if you look at the Manchester scene, a lot of people are similar age.
Yeah.
And I think that's played a big part in it, because obviously people being friends on social media and stuff, that travels and they can build a community that way. But in other cities and other places, it's obviously you've got to build that, and it takes time, and
it takes time, it takes money, and it just takes a lot of effort, you know. And as you mentioned just then about having friends in the different areas, it is actually very, very useful. Like, there's a lot of mutual friends we both know that has a great connection with other bands, and you know, they do these specific shows, and there's always going to be a big fan base going to these specific areas. It does help massively. I think it's fantastic that we got stuff like that. If we didn't have it, it probably makes me think that we're never going to get anything like this ever again. To have a very good fan base variety of like location wise, and you know, it's just, we definitely need to gel it, because at the end of the day, this is what keeps going with this UK scenery a little bit. But it makes me wish that UK scenery can be a bit more better. It's just tough that sometimes with the economic reasons that people will be like, I'm not going to go to the show, I don't have the money for it, which is completely understandable. But sometimes people do not understand the picture where if you don't get this show for like, let's say £10 show down in Manchester or whatever, you guys are headlining and people be like, I'm not going to go to this. If you guys did not come back to Manchester after that show, people will be thinking, fuck, why did I not go to that show? It's, well, basically you're not supporting the band in a good way. Like, you're probably still supporting them digital format, and you're still purchasing merchandise. That's fantastic. But in the same way, bands need that income when it comes to shows, and that's what helps the promotion as well. And that actually gives the promotion big confidence to make sure, oh yeah, we got about 250 people coming in. It's great. We can do that next time we can do this again as a pattern, just to make sure we can get live music going through. And that's what the music industry needs. And the music industry is suddenly, as we're going through this COVID situation, the music industry is suffering big time. Venues are suffering, promotions are suffering, the roadies are definitely suffering, and bands are suffering, because with bands, they're not able to tour, and they're not able to get the income that they need. And let's say, for example, you guys got your new music next week, and you definitely want to tour for that new music. That's always been a big thing for bands, you know.
We were supposed to be on tour in June, but obviously that's now been postponed.
Was that supposed to be in Europe?
Yeah, it was starting in London, going over, eventually finishing up in Munich at Slam Bavaria.
Yeah.
But obviously, unfortunately, because of CV-19, we're all grounded.
Yeah, we're all grounded. We've been told to stay at homes like a bad child, you know, for messing around. But it's very shit. And I saw the line of Slam Bavaria in Munich. I thought that's a really decent lineup. I was so tempted to go as well, but in a way, I counted my blessings. I thought it was not worth it because my income was a little bit stretched. Thank goodness I didn't go, and I didn't want to purchase the ticket. Not like I've got anything against the promotion or any organization or traveling to Germany. Like, I was supposed to go to Deaf East Open Air in August.
Yeah.
That is likely to be cancelled. We have not been told anything officially just yet, but I'm skeptical to think that it's going to be cancelled. Or it's just going to be rescheduled to next year, where I still got the ticket and I could just travel next year. So it's not like it's a lose-lose situation. It's kind of like a win-to-lose situation, you know?
I feel sorry for a lot of these promoters who are putting on these festivals, because they invest a huge amount of money in, obviously, the venue.
Yeah.
Even stuff like catering. Obviously, they've got to pay the bar staff's wages.
Yep.
All the bands have got to pay for. So just to say postpone it is not always as easy as it seems, you know. So
no, it isn't. And people could have people have been saying you could reschedule this, you can do that. But the thing is, people don't realize when people or promotions need to reschedule it, it does still add money into that in the jar, where you need to spend more money to make sure it's been rescheduled and actually make sure it works. Then you have to contact the bands to say, oh, I'm sorry that you paid your fees already or your flight fees, but you guys might need to travel or reschedule yourself for next year or in such and such. And that's a whole lot of effort, a whole lot of timing. That's bad enough as it is. And as you mentioned, it does also support the income for like the bar people and the venue people. And, you know, it's one of those things where I think people do not see the bigger picture when these promoters are put on a ticket sale, like online. You can do it online, advanced ticket sale, where that actually helps much more than doing it on the door. People be like, oh, it's an extra $5, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can do that, but at the same time, people like to save their money, don't they? And that's one of my critics. Like, I like to save money as much as possible, but I want to make sure it's a sensible thing as well. Like, if it helps to support the bands and the promotion to carry on, I'd rather just spend it on the door than actually doing it in advance, you know? But sometimes what people don't see as well, and I didn't know until Paul Dent, the promoter for Snuffest, shout out to Paul, he did a Snuffest event for September. I think it was September or maybe earlier this year or maybe last year with the Winter Snuffest. There was a ticket sale on Vans for like £20, and they announced Guitarist to be headlining, and the ticket sales went up. So there's always a grand scheme of things where if you actually pay that £20, that actually becomes a bit beneficial instead of paying like £35, you know?
Yeah,
and
definitely. I mean, it all helps. I know for smaller bands, bands our size, you know, live music and people paying on the door helps out so much, because when a promoter does well, the promoter's usually quite generous. We're lucky that we're part of a scene where the promoters are generally quite generous to the bands if ticket sales do well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that obviously goes towards running a band. The costs, it's not cheap.
No, it's definitely not. And traveling, it becomes one bigger play. Maybe accommodation, if you guys are staying somewhere, that's always a big thing. Beverage, as you mentioned earlier, food is another thing. Paying for the roadie, if you ever guys got a roadie. So there's always stuff like that adds up, quite frankly, a lot. And not just like for that, they need to pay you guys separate as well. And that's the main thing too, because you guys are like a package for a band to make sure you get the money coming through for, like, as we mentioned, music wise and to actually tour wise. So if I have to say anything to anybody, is to make sure you actually support the bands by any means necessary. If you don't do it, then it's a possibility you might not see that band again, because first of all, you didn't, well, it's not really your fault, but it's kind of like that's a sole purpose, but it's a good thing you try your best to support the band by any means necessary. It's also a good thing to support the promoter, because like we mentioned earlier, it gives a good confidence for the promoter, saying, oh yeah, we've done a good sale and we actually reach a profit, about 250 people coming into the show. So there we go, we can actually do it next time. We bring this band in, and then we bring that band in, and we can do it in this venue instead of the other venue where it's probably going to be super, super cheap or super expensive. I mean, I know people like to cut through and try and get a cheaper way option, but sometimes doing cheaper venues, or in a way doing a different day, which I know that's a rookie mistake as well, because sometimes promoters do it in a different days. That kind of be a hit or miss scenario. Sundays are the worst days, because I try to go to Sunday shows and I never go at all. So simply because
it's tough.
Traveling for me is an absolute nightmare on a Sunday. It's really, really shit. And Monday seems to be the dead day for music at all. Point period. Fridays and Saturdays are obviously going to always be the best days, because people can go out on the weekends, they can get pissed. They can do a lot of stuff.
Enjoy themselves without having to think about going to work the next day.
Exactly, yeah. Where people like myself, I have to make sure I'm getting back home and actually going to work to the next day, Adult life is fucking brilliant.
You've got to be responsible. As much as you enjoy shows, you've got to be responsible.
Exactly. It's fucking great, man, honestly. So yeah, if you got a special message to say anything to anybody, you're more than welcome to say it right now. That's completely your floor.
Well, just going back to what we were saying about venues and people involved in music struggling, you've got to extend it as far as you've got to look at the guys who, even the drivers for when we were on tour. I know in June we were supposed to be with Rules of the Road, which is Harry Rule from God Complex.
Okay.
I know he's had a tough time recently. I think obviously once it's all over, if anyone watches this, get in touch with him, because he's an awesome dude and he's awesome for touring, and he's a really good driver. You can't ask for any more.
No.
So you just got to support those dudes in the scene who are putting in work.
You have to. And it's just like you just said, we have to support these companies, these local companies or these small companies, because it matters so much to actually provide a better business opportunity in a long time, where we support these small bands, support underground bands, or we support these small underground promoters, these small businesses. It goes a long, long way when they get actually the income they need to advance their business and the opportunities to make bigger shows. It really matters big time. And that's why the underground scenery is so important, and it's massively a big opportunity for me to try and cover this, because I don't think many people do not see the bigger picture on it. And not just like in UK wise, but like in the whole world wise, like Europe, America, North America, down in Australia, Asia, New Zealand, anywhere you go to, there's a possibility you're going to have to think this at the back of your mind, thinking, is it really necessary to do this? It is if you want to keep the business going, and if you actually want to go to your favorite places again. And that's always the main important thing, by any means.
I know that us in Visions of Disfigurement, I know we're hoping that once this is all over, that once people do get back to gigging, people are going to be proper up for it. They're going to go mad for it.
Absolutely.
Just because, obviously, well, you've been in your house, being able to throw down with your mates is it's going to be a glorious thing. We're allowed to do it.
It will be, yeah. And especially like in hardcore shows where people are just going to go completely flying and, they're going to go batshit crazy. It'll be a fantastic thing to see. And it'll be fantastic to see people actually enjoying themselves once again. I'll definitely be looking forward to it. I'll definitely be looking forward to get back to shows again and see my friends. Like, if I see you again, I'll definitely be looking forward to it. I'll be looking forward to, like, all the friends I know in Europe, down States, if I ever come down here again, even if the visas cost so expensive. It would be nice to actually see everybody again and to actually get back to our normal lives again, even though the circumstances is fucking shit. And it's tough times, man, honestly. But I know there was an article not long ago, and this was like maybe a couple of months or so ago now, that stated that if live music was going to happen, let's say next year, there was going to be restrictions on how many people would be allowed to come in. So they're going to clamp down the capacity. So that's going to suffer the income on the band and the promotion. But also, along with the policy, is people need to stay in their own 2 feet in the box, away from each other. They can't touch other people physically. They can't do anything in the mosh pit. They can't crowd surf. They can't stage dive. They can't do anything so stupid to actually draw energy on these live music events that we always want, especially for bands as well, because that creates the atmosphere so much. So, it'll be tough if, let's say, next year happens and we have to stick to these restrictions.
Yeah, it's they're not going to be forever.
No.
So if they are enforced, like you say, people just have to respect them until it's safe enough that everyone can get back to being normal.
Yeah, exactly, man.
So we can get normal behaviour, because it's going to suck. And I know for me, being on stage, it's good. If people do have to stand 2 meters apart and aren't allowed to move and stuff, that's going to be weird. But it's just something we'll deal with. I mean, our last gig was November. That was Fall in the Brawl in Manchester.
Yeah.
Obviously, we had stuff planned that now can't go ahead. So I think our next gig that's booked is in September in Manchester, UK Slamfest.
Yeah.
So if that comes about, that you do have to stand very politely and you can't
that's gonna be tough.
Pit and stuff, I would take that, because it's been so long since I've played a show.
Would you take people standing around crossing their arms like they normally do, thinking, what the fuck is this band? Or you actually expect people to be going batshit crazy? I would prefer people to be batshit crazy.
Oh, 100%. I would love it if people go absolutely batshit crazy, but the problem is, you don't want to get gigs shut down and going on for longer. But I would take people standing over with my arms closed, not looking at me. Just staring at me rather than not playing at all.
Just staring at you. Fucking hell, man. That's good.
Yeah, I'd rather that. It's good practice anyway.
You get weird looks from doing that, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'll just stare right back.
You could do that, but then you'd probably be headbanging, you'd be windmilling, you could be doing a lot of crazy shit where they can't do it. So they're going to hate you for doing that,
I think that'd be the strange thing. I think when you're on stage, a lot of your energy comes from how the crowd's reacting to your music.
Exactly.
So for it to only go one way would be weird.
Very weird.
But anyone who's played, small shows or been in small local bands when they were younger knows they've done it before. We can do it again, sort of thing. So.
Yeah. It's all fun and games, man. But speaking of small venues and stuff, what's been your favorite event that you ever done with Visions or anything at all?
That's really tough. I've got a few, and it's sort of like the first show on our European tour last year. We played Antwerp,
a
venue called Music City. as soon as we got there, the people were like I love the Belgian people. I think Belgium's an awesome country.
Very awesome.
They were super friendly. You know, they were telling us about the area, telling us about just making us feel welcome. And when it came to it, we were there with Aphotic. It was us and then Scordatora. And everyone just went mad for us. And it was just like a really nice, on that first day of that tour, that it went off so well. So that's like plays a big one in my mind.
Yeah.
Death to Cancer we mentioned earlier in London. That was a really good time.
That was a really good show. Really good show.
That was awesome. I really enjoyed that.
And funny enough, that was the last show Joe's ever done as well. So shout out to Joe Mitchell. I think he's likely going to be doing another one, but that was definitely the last one, as he said, until further notice. So, but that was a good show.
Yeah, it's a really good show. The band, so many good bands on it. Obviously, Party Cannon, Scordatora, Crepitation, Us, Chainsaw played.
Yeah.
So many bands. I just can't count them off the top of my head. But it was a really sick gig.
It was really good, really good. And I definitely love going to these shows in London. It's always really good to have that atmosphere. Whether it is Visions is playing, whether Cranial was playing, which they did a few times, and I mentioned it on Matt's session in episode 9. If people have not seen it, go watch it. It was really good to see Hans speak to Matt again about how Cranial was playing in London, and it was really fun. But yeah, Cranial was playing there one time. Pycan plays there numerous occasions, whether it's just like a one-off and then they play next year, or they play 2 times and then until next year. If you have an advice for people that are starting in bands, what would your advice be?
That's a tough one. Know your worth. I think that's really important. I think there's only so long you can be a band and play shows for free because your band will fall apart, because you need
that income.
If you don't think you're worth anything, then no one else will, basically. I think that's really important. Obviously, if you're just starting, don't fill your set with covers of other bands. Just play your material. Because people haven't come to see you cover something else.
I'm surprised you guys have not done a cover live show yet. Well, you probably did, but I can't remember what.
I think we were at one point planning on covering Disaster Piece.
Oh yeah.
And I think it was going to go on the album, but we sort of just was like, no, we'll just do our music. I'd still love to do some Slipknot or something like that in the future.
That would be quite cool. It'd be quite cool to see what happens, especially with just 4 musicians just doing it.
Yeah,
I can definitely see Ben going absolutely crazy being Joey for sure.
I'd love it. I'll have to get my wig and a mask.
Yeah, I think you guys definitely need to wear the mask and the wigs. For sure.
Visions of Slipknot.
Vision of Slipknot. Yeah, very, very sound.
You heard it first. You heard it here first.
I definitely did, and you did too. So, if anybody wants to prove it, just message on the below saying, "Yeah, Vision of Slipknot." That'd be fucking cool.
No, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I think. I saw, Waking the Cadaver, Extermination, Permanent Corpse, they all covered Baby Killer by Development, and that went off.
Yeah.
That was really, really cool.
That was last year in the Fall of the Ball, wasn't it? I think it was.
I can't remember.
Because they played for
it might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it must have been that one. I would say Death East Open Air, because they did headline Death East Open Air last year. I can't remember if they did Baby Killer, because I know Extermination Dismemberment always plays Baby Killer every time they play live.
Yeah.
So I think they probably did have Fall in the Ball. I'm sure they did.
Yeah, it's a moot point. It doesn't matter they played it. It doesn't matter where they played it, but they played it.
They played a song and they actually played there. That's what it matters. But
yeah, that's all that matters.
Tackle down the real answers, God damn it.
Yeah, definitely.
But, hey, it is what
you keep mentioning Death Feast, and that's a festival that I would absolutely love to go to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Lucas, if you're listening, please bring me over.
Yeah, hit Tom up, and I'm sure he would just nudge it to Ben, be like, Ben, we got an offer, just fucking accept it. Yeah, Visions would definitely be great to play for Death Feast, because Death Feast has got that great atmosphere in Germany. And it's a very good open air festival, especially when there's a bar or a pub just next to the festival, and there's a swimming pool as well. So it's a really good area in Andernach as well. So I've been there for about 2 times or 3 times now. So it's a really good place to go. And especially if you want to stay there for the whole weekend, it's just worth staying over there for the weekend for sure. Even if you guys were playing on the last day or beginning of the day, just fucking enjoy the rest of the weekend, because it's really cool, man. Honestly, I would definitely recommend Death Fish Open Air. But yeah, Lucas, if you're definitely watching it, man, just get Visions of Disfigurement on there, man. Come on. It'd be fucking cool. So yeah, we've got a few things before we have to finish. But basically, we know that you're a guitarist. We know you're playing Visions of Disfigurement for a couple of years now. What's been your hobbies? That if it wasn't for being a guitarist, what would your hobbies be?
I play a lot of computer games. Well, I play one specific computer game. I play a lot of RuneScape. I'm not afraid to admit it. Yeah, I played it for like 5 years. Yeah, played it for the last 5 years, and I've got to that point now where I just can't stop. I've invested way too much time to stop.
Hey, at least you're at home and you're actually having you have the time to play it, man. Some of us don't.
Yeah. No, I think if I wasn't that into guitars and stuff, I'd definitely invest more money on my computer.
Yeah, definitely.
Bit of a nerd that way.
Oh no, there's nothing wrong with it, because I'm thinking of doing I'm doing a Twitch live stream in the future, and I need to get the gear, like the capture card and better microphone, to say I'm going to invest it and I'm going to put the time into it, like know what my worth is and actually work for it, because it's a bigger opportunity. And I've been wanting to do it for many, many years, actually, even when I was probably 18. But my internet back at home was completely shit. And compare that, there were so many people using the internet all in one go. I was struggling to think about how that's going to work. And I didn't have a good income as well, because I started working when I was about 22. So, being 28 now is like, I'm getting to that stage where I'm soon to be 30. So I need to know what my final job line is going to be. I know I need to stick to it and be capable of it. Like, been doing this podcast now for over a year or two, and month or two. Why did I say year or two? It's been a long day.
Getting ahead of yourself. It's that beer's got to you.
Man, I'm having so much outtakes. I should just do a combination of outtakes. Just to do a celebration. Oh man, it's so surreal. I probably have to go and just do every episode, find these outtakes and just do it there. That'd be great. But yeah, I definitely would like to do podcasts maybe a bit more longer and see how that goes. I'm on 45 episode sessions, so I want to get more people down the road. 75 people would be quite nice, but 100 people would definitely be cool to interview, especially through these circumstances. And it gets people to do something. It's definitely would give me something to do. But yeah.
I wouldn't usually watch a lot of podcasts, but since I saw you put yours out, I started watching a few of them now. So I really enjoyed the one with Tom Amos from Vendetta.
Yeah, I appreciate
me a lot in that one.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Now, the outtakes really got me.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. I should actually do outtakes on the next video and actually be like, see what my outtakes are like. But I got a few, especially with, who was it I did with? I did with Matt from Cranial. It was just like a beginning outtake, and I was just like, oh my goodness, that's just annoying as hell. It was so awkward as well. I know it's live, but it's so funny as well. And I wasn't so stressed out about it. I had to laugh about it,
That's what you can do.
Yeah, exactly. And just especially through these circumstances, we all have to look after each other, definitely. But yeah, video games would definitely be my to-go life if I want to do anything in the future, But yeah, I play I play PlayStation, but I would definitely would like to try and invest PC gaming in the future if there is an opportunity. So if there's any gaming companies that want to invest me, hit me up with endorsements or
Josh,
sponsorships,
man.
that'd be quite nice. Yeah, definitely, and I can start straight away. But yeah, I think it would be great to see where that goes. But now, as we're about to finish, which has pretty much been like almost an hour, so that's quite nice. And I do enjoy this session with you, and I'm sure we can have a catch up when all this shit is out of the way, and we can have a proper sit down with the boys, and see how all of you have been doing, and especially try to get an idea of where this all new album came into play, and how everybody's been responding there. And I'm sure you guys can actually get in touch with me about, we want to hit you up with like a podcast session, like whether it's just
dude. We'd all love to get together and talk to the album. So
yeah,
just
definitely
message me after. We'll sort it out.
Absolutely.
We'll do another.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll be the first person to be on too.
Hey, there we go. So Tom is definitely the one that I messaged, and I would have messaged Ben, but I wasn't too sure how Ben was going to respond. He would probably be too busy playing drums, And he'd be like, "Nah, fuck it. I don't have any time for this shit." So, yeah, I appreciate you being on here. I really am honored to have you on here as not just a friend, but as a musician and podcaster, actually speaking to each other. Because as people do not know that Visions, I've known Visions for like, I know Visions for quite a while now. I think I knew Visions before you came around, but this was back in 2015, 2014 era. So yeah, definitely a long time ago. And I still got the sticker card. And I don't know who wrote it. It probably was Ben. But basically, upon the Extinction album was released on my birthday, and I ordered the pre-order system and the scheme. And on the poster card, on the sticker, which I got it by the side of my bed, it had a written note about it saying "Happy Birthday," and I was like, "God damn it, I'm keeping that shit."
Oh, that's cool.
It's stuff like that. It just means a lot. And I wish more bands would actually release their music on my birthday. I know Steelbirth is releasing their music on my on August. Psychotoxin are releasing their music a couple of days before my birthday. So August is going to be a very good year for music. I'm looking forward to it for sure. But speaking of music, this is an opportunity now to do some shout outs for not just label companies, not just record companies, but for bands companies as well. Bands to deserve the opportunity to get recognition. Like, for example, Chainsaw Consideration, they definitely need to support, even though they could be shit, but hey, they need to support more than anything, because they're very good people, But yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say very good people. They're definitely people.
They're shit people, but there are people,
Yeah, man. There's a list of bands as long as my arm, and I'm gonna forget all of them.
You can always write it down to me when we finish. Anyway,
I need to do that. But the dudes in like Aphotic, they've got new stuff coming out soon. They need supporting because they're going to be sick when they get the new stuff out. Scored Tora, Castigated. I've mentioned Diagora. Oh man, there's so many. Obviously Vendetta. I'm just trying to think. Total Consumption are doing quite a lot at the minute. They're pretty cool. Damn, I told you I'm not going to remember them all. Obviously Stillbirth, Dominic mixed the Masters Hour album.
Yep, shout out to Pumba. Shout out to Pumba. DPK Studios, really good studio. Definitely if you want to get some album mixture and the mastering. So shout out to Pumba.
Shout out to Dimitri from Reality Fade as well. He's I know you said not record labels, but he's really done us well on this one. He's put a lot of hard work in, so
yeah, definitely
bit of recognition.
Well done to you, Dimitri. You've done very well so far, and I hope it carries on. I hope it carries on with the recognition that you deserve as a label or record company for sure.
Yeah, man. There's so many good bands on it. You got like Esophagus, Exercise Gods. I'm fairly sure Cranial, Contamination. So just a lot of sick bands. It's a record label with a lot of potential.
It does, yeah. And I hope stuff like that does stay for quite a while. I know Evil Greed are from the Europe as well, and they've got like Blood Incarnation albums on there. They've got another one now. I can't remember at the back of my mind. But Evil Greed's quite cool. It was full of hell, and they're a good band to listen to as well. Atoll is very good. They're from the States. Cerebral Implication are very cool as well. I love my dudes in the Las Vegas Havana. Crepitation are very cool. Also Sam Manfield's band. My pronunciation is fucking
Coprobaptized mutation. There you go. Got it for you.
No, that's completely fine because my pronunciation is very, very poor.
It's okay. People need to stop having really long names.
Sam, stop writing band non-names,
Come on,
please.
Sam.
I mean, look at Niall. Niall's got a fucking non-name, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, so easy.
Decomposition of Entrails, they're fucking sick. Disentombed are sick. Disgorge are fucking heavy. I love Disgorge. And I hope they come back in the future with new music. Extermination, Dismemberment are fucking sick. I hope they get new music coming out next year. They are quite quiet this year, as far as I know. But I can't give away too much, but I got an interview session with one of the band members, so very soon. That would be very nice to sit down to one of the musicians and actually discuss about what's going on. Inquisitive Deeds are very cool. Turn on the Devour are quite cool. Knocked Loose, so that's not Brew Death Mode, that's more hardcore, but Knocked Loose are very cool. I enjoy their latest album, A Different Shade of Blue. Really nice album. And if nobody's heard of it before, definitely go and listen to that album from Knocked Loose. It's more heavy and it's more meaningful compared to their previous album they released before. Definitely Knocked Loose. Lawless Shore are very good. Obviously with the circumstances of CJ, I heard there's going to be a big statement from CJ very soon during this whole statement about what's been going on. I'll be listening to it or reading it and see what he has to say. Until then, I'm just going to stand back and just let it happen for now and see what's happening, because there's always two sides of the story. So I don't want to be going one side of the scenario and just flip off one of them and then just not listen to the other side of the story. I think it was a very strange time where CJ pretty much blacked himself out from all social medias and actually not exist himself. So he probably wanted time for himself, which is quite understandable, but I wouldn't play him as a victim card. I think there's more to it with the story.
You just got to support the other dudes in the band.
You have to.
They're gonna.
You do.
They're the ones who are gonna.
Yeah, no, I agree. And they've been going through of who was it? They had to use a different vocalist for the whole album. They released Immortal, and they had to replace CJ's vocals on it. So CJ's lyrics are still on there, but the vocals are different. So Lawrence Shaw had to put a whole lot of different work into it. So fair play to Lawrence Shaw with Immortal. Definitely go and listen to it because it's fucking good album. If not one of the best albums that I've heard for quite a while. And I definitely would recommend it. Scotch Orgy was one of them as well. They're a very good band. I think nothing's going to happen to that band anymore, but it was quite nice to see them live one time. That was back in Slamfest UK. I think that was about 3 years ago. I think they played live, and yeah, it was quite cool. It was quite a one-time experience. This next shout is a very personal one because it happened so recently. Shout out to The Grave, because their member of musician actually passed away a few days ago. And my condolences to The Grave and to the family of the friend and the musician that passed away on that day, which was someone called Joshua. Shout out to Joshua for being a very good musician To The Grave. My condolences to their family, and if anybody that actually knows To The Grave, just mention them that I actually give them my condolences, and I hope everything goes through better when the time goes right. And
can I just mention as well, there's a Just Giving page set up for his funeral costs. I don't know how it's doing or where it is, but there is a Just Giving to help his family pay for that. So if anyone does have any spare cash, just to go help out his family.
Absolutely, I do agree. There was a GoFundMe page or something, like it's down. I'll just look on their Facebook. So Joshua Dinklin Booth obviously passed away on the 28th. Not long ago. But there's a GoFundMe fundraising for the funeral. As I can see now, the target has been raised higher. So if the target was supposed to be 10,000 Australian dollars, it's 11,382 Australian dollars. So that's magnificent to see the target's been reached for the funeral fundraising. So it's really, really cool to see there's so many people that made that donation. There's about 112 people have made that donation. So well done to everybody that's done that donation. Obviously, it's tough times to the grave, but again, I hope things can get better for them in the long run. And again, my condolences to the family and the friends that knew him very well. It's tough times, but we must support each other. As I mentioned earlier, we must support each other, make sure everyone gets through this stage and make sure everyone gets happy through the circumstances. And yeah, so thank you, Josh. Final shout out would be Vitriol from the States. Vitriol, very brutal. I've got the latest album artwork on my shirt I'm wearing. But they're very good. I would recommend Vitriol. So yeah, unless you've got anything else to say, feel free to say anything, Tom, and then we'll hit it out.
One last quick shout out to the 3 bands we were supposed to be on tour with this June. Embrace Punishment, Devour the Fetus, and Human Worms. Go check them all out. They've all got merch. Human Worms just put out a new split with Wasteland, and it's awesome. It's
really
filthy.
awesome.
It's disgusting. The 3 bands that deserve a lot of love. So go check them out.
Absolutely.
Also buy our album June 8th.
Yeah, definitely go and buy Visions of Disfigurement album on June the 8th, which will be next week on Monday. You can still pre-order it. You can still pre-order on Reality Fade Records, and you can still pre-order it on Visions, Big Cartel, I believe, and their Bandcamp digital media as well. So definitely support the bands by any means necessary, whether it's digital format or even if you want the physical copies, definitely do it on the Reality Fade Records company and even the Big Cartel page on Visions. So my final vacant of the words. It's not an easy situation that we're all living in right now because, let's put it this way, the UK restrictions are lowered pretty much time and time again. So, like the UK is going to get fucking suffered. I've started to notice that as I'm paying attention to the media, more UK citizens are passing. It's fucking frightening. I'm not going to lie. But we all must stick together. We all must support each other as British citizens. And even if we don't like what's going on with the restrictions, we have to do our best to make sure we're all this together. I know this through these times as the summer's coming on around the corner, as it is summer now, actually, as it's June. Everyone's starting to go out more often and they are ignoring the rules. It's not going to be an easy thing to stay at home now because people, like their friends and their family, are going to be wanting to go out more often. And there was a restriction where you can only exercise 1 pair a day. Now that's been lifted. You can exercise more often per day. So as a quote unquote exercise, people are using that as an excuse to go out to the park, have picnics, or just go to the beach. Some people say they kept their distance, but I don't believe it. I think it's more of they don't care. So they're going to do whatever they want to do now because they've done their 3 or 4 months time and they think that's it now. It's not going to be the case because I think there's going to be a second spike. Whenever that's going to happen, I don't know, but I can tell you it's not going to be fantastic when that comes, because then everyone needs to listen. If they don't, more people are going to die, and that's the truth. Aside from the UK, down Europe, I think Europe is doing okay. I haven't heard much from Europe, so they must be doing okay. Australia's doing fine. Asia's doing fine. New Zealand, I think they're doing fine. So most of those countries are doing fantastic to recover from this situation. So that's really, really good to see. The States, however, they're in the worst time compared to the rest of the countries, big time. Not just economically reasons, not the COVID reasons, but also the protesting and the police brutality reasons. It's a very tough one because for me, I did an after party session on a Friday morning where there was a group session called Fox and Hops Thursday sessions. I normally join the after party sessions because the whole Thursday session is normally very, very late Friday morning, about 1 o'clock. So I normally be asleep. So I join the after party. And I questioned some of the people about what was their opinion about this whole situation with George Floyd when he passed away by police brutality. I think for me, there is a big picture when it comes to racism by police brutality. Now, we know there's a big K-clan in America. We definitely know that. I know that for a fact. I think America, it's a very, very big description of haterism, and it hates most of the race by the sounds of it. It's like white supreme, and it's just like, apparently by the looks of it, America is the description of, if you're white, you're fine. If you're other colors, you're hated. And that seems to be a very, very negative output. And don't get me wrong, I hate the idea. But it seems to me that whenever there's a problem with white people in America, like a school shooting, for example, they get arrested up to like 6 months or whatever. But when it comes to a black person, even if a school shooting or whatever comes to, like, I don't know, like they mentioned about how someone had a counterfeit money in the supermarket and they're mistaken it by it, they get killed for it. And like, let's say, for example, if that person lived, it seems like it's a 25-year sentence. So it's kind of like, it doesn't make sense why America has to hate other races. It just doesn't make sense, you know? And I think in the long run, these protestings are going to be for quite a while. And the vandalism is going to be there for quite a while. The police brutality is obviously going to be there forever. Nothing's going to change. It's a very, very hard situation to come out in America. I don't know what the latest news are when it comes to like any incidents have been, like Trump's DC White House has been invaded or anything like that. I know that's been latestly been mentioned this morning, and that's been in the back of my mind. You know, that's been in the back of my mind thinking, is that if that actually happened, what would the outcome be with Trump being the president? Would that actually be like that he has to be released from him being the president, or that would be a different circumstances? I don't know. But I think I would love to see how America is going to cope with all this happens in the next few weeks. But I am going to pay attention and watch the news and, well, keep it on social media, because by the looks of it, they're giving the best resource of information than anything else, you know. Yeah. So unless you've got anything else to say, man, you're more than welcome to say right now.
I'm good. I've done my shout outs. I've probably forgot someone. I know I've definitely forgot someone. So if I have forgotten you, please don't be upset. Just thank you very much for having me on.
That's no problem.
We will do another one at some point.
Absolutely.
Can't wait for you to hear our album.
I can't wait for it either. Like, yeah, I can't wait for Visions album to come out. How many tracks is there going to be out so people are aware of it?
There's going to be 11 songs on that album.
Nice.
And 2 of them are already out.
There we go. So if anybody's not heard the Visions of Disfigurement before, go and listen to them before the new album comes out on June the 8th. I am definitely going to be looking forward to it. I would definitely support the band by any means. And why shouldn't you? You know, if you've got the free time, definitely listen to it when the album comes out. And leave a comment to the Visions and see how you feel about it, because your opinion matters to them. And it can actually take a longer way, like, to see how the music craftsmanship actually goes. And people's opinions matter, you know, especially when it comes to underground scenery. And the community, it's actually really decent. So it's actually a very vital thing to have for a long time, you know. Other than that, I really appreciate you coming on here, Tom. I really appreciate that we had this session. Thank you very much to have me on it, man. You know, and thank you very much to everybody who has watched this video or listened to the podcast, wherever you've done it. Please leave a subscription by any means. It goes a long way. And if you hit the bell underneath the subscription bar, it's a notification bell to tell you when the next video has been uploaded. It doesn't mean just this. It could be the future videos, like Thursday, for example, where I interview Mike Malavin and Christopher Ryan from Pie Cannon. It'd be a 2-to-1, the first ever 2-on-1 podcast session. So it'll be very interesting to see what they have to say. It's more going to be off jokes by the sounds of it, but hey, I'm super stoked to hear. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Tom. By any means, go listen to Visions of Disfigurement. And yeah, thank you very much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.